What's up, guys? It's Dynasty from the Mountaintops. I'm Mickey, along with Jimmy and Jeremy. Jimmy, you're traveling today, man. How you doing, though?
Doing good. Just got some golf in, so yeah, I'm ready for summer. So doing good.
I know you're a teacher, so you realize you're still in school time, right?
Yes, but I only have 37 more work days until summer.
I have, every Monday through Friday, so that doesn't count.
Yep.
Jeremy, you're on the same page as me on that. So how you doing, man?
I'm doing okay. I might actually get laid off, so that's another thing. We'll see.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it's fine. Before it'll happen again, I'll get paid to do it, and I'll hang out all summer with the kids. So hey.
Oh, so it's kind of like an awesome thing, I guess it sounds like.
Yeah, at this point, I don't care. Honestly, what am I gonna do? I can't sit here and dwell over it. I'll look at jobs and we'll see if it happens. But hey, what's the worst case is going to happen? They're going to give me a paid vacation for the next few months.
Sweet, man. Paid vacation. That sounds awesome. As long as you have something lined up on the back end, right?
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, man. Well, since both of you are going to have a fun summer and I'm just going to work through it, let's talk about one of my favorite times of the year, which is April. We got the end of the Final Four coming. We got baseball starting, and the most important part, NFL draft, is at the end of the month. And we're going to start our little more of a dissection to the rookie draft process here. So we're going to talk about the rookie QBs and the tight ends today. We're going to start off with the rookie QBs, and then talk about a rookie QB 2 years ago, Anthony Richardson, and kind of where he's at fantasy-wise, and then come back in with the rookie tight ends to end the show. So we're going to start with Cam Ward. Obviously, everyone's talking about him as the number one overall pick to the Tennessee Titans or whoever trades into it. He's from Miami. And Jeremy, I know you got some stats on him.
Yeah, Cam Ward from Miami. Just looking at things from last year, he came in with 4,313 passing yards for an equivalent of 39 touchdowns to only 7 interceptions. So that, to me, is pretty damn good. Completions percentage of 67%. He got sacked 22 times. Basically, because he runs it a little bit. I got him at 204 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns last year rushing. But he comes in at 6'2", 223 pounds, and he, in my opinion, from what we've seen, deserves to be the QB1 on this class.
Awesome, man. Yeah. I don't know. Did you say the height and weight?
Yeah. Cam Ward's at 6'2", 223.
Okay, perfect. So for me personally, I know he looks the part. He played well for all 3 schools that he went to. He started at Incarnate Word. I think I said that right. Then he went to Washington State, and he finished his career last year in Miami, where he had a very nice year with Miami, and he had a nice year with Washington as well. With Washington State, excuse me. For me personally, everything I'm hearing, he's the number 1 overall pick. He's the number 1 pick in the real draft. However, I've heard anywhere from 2 to 4 in fantasy. We'll talk a little bit of fantasy. I know Jimmy loves talking about draft stock, so we can bring him in for that. But really, I'm different than a lot of people that I've heard. I'm not sold on the guy. I've seen the metrics are nice, but they're nothing like that can translate great to the NFL, in my opinion. I'm staying away from him in dynasty drafts, just personally, but I also don't have many picks in dynasty drafts, so it doesn't really make me.
Took the words from my mouth. From my mouth.
So he had everything that I hear. He's the 101 for the NFL draft, but I feel like it's a down year in the quarterback class. So I've always been kind of surprised by that. So I don't know if you guys have an opinion on him at all other than that, but my eye test, I didn't see anything special. Did you?
I'll be real brief here. I just think it's going to be, for Cam, it's going to depend on the team and landing spot. And if everything goes the way that they're saying, I think it's a perfect fit in Tennessee. I think he's going to be solely reliant on landing spot and the system that he has around him. But I think so far right now, what I'm seeing in Tennessee, it's a good spot for him.
I think the problem with these quarterbacks is, like, they all project to be QB 10, QB 12. Like, they don't have a rushing upside, so their ceilings to be very low. Like, for them to be relevant, like starting in your super flex spot or an upgrade to what you currently have, like they're going to have to go out and throw 30, 40 touchdowns. And that's the problem is with this class is Shedeur doesn't run. Cam doesn't run. Jackson Dart does run, but he's probably the lowest, best player out there for quarterback rise. So like it's a struggle. Like I think these guys are just their ceilings are so low that there's no excitement because there's no rushing upside.
No, and I agree. The comparisons kind of surprised me a little bit. That I've heard. I've heard Bo Nix, Zach Wilson, and Sam Howell all when they were coming out had wheels and could move. Not that they're Lamar by any stretch or Jaden Daniels, but they were known for being mobile. And I haven't heard much of Cam Ward being a lot of mobile. I know you said, 204 yards, 4 touchdowns, something like that. So I know we talk about Cam Ward almost every week, it feels like, when we're talking about rookies. But, I mean, that's what happens when you're going to be the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft. So buyer beware is what I would say, especially where he's going in the draft.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't think, considering the weapons he has around him and the team that's on him, I don't think he's definitely going to be one that you're drafting and hoping that he produces and gives you winning numbers in the first year, if not 2. But yeah, I think this is definitely a project quarterback in a dynasty realm where, if I'm building and I know I'm not going to compete this year, he'd be a safe pick, but I'm not grabbing him if I'm looking for immediate points. I concur with you there, Mick.
I'm going to steal my thunder already, but I feel the same way about the next guy, Shedeur Sanders from Colorado. Obviously, Deion's son. Who started at Jackson State and transferred to Colorado with his dad when his dad got the head coaching job. Jeremy, go ahead.
Yeah, same height, 6'2". He comes in a little lighter at 215. He passed for 4,100 yards last season and 37 touchdowns. He did have 10 interceptions, and he was probably sacked. He was sacked the most out of all the, let's say, the top 5 quarterbacks in this class at 42 times this year. He came in at a 75.5 QBR pass rating, and I've said a few things on this pod. I don't rank Sanders in my top 3 quarterbacks for this class. I haven't been a big fan of him from the get-go. So I'm kind of with you on this one on the Sanders. I'm higher on Ward than I am Sanders.
So I will say this. The one thing that I've seen a lot of people say is that his offensive line was an absolute joke. He was running for his life. So the sacks obviously were going to happen because of that, but also he held the ball a little too long from what I saw and from what I've heard from other sources as well.
Yeah, to play into that, I just because I had some of the things in front of me, like the statistics for him were crazy because I was pulling up, like, again, to Jim's point, there's not much rushing capabilities for these quarterbacks, but I did want to pull these numbers up, and Shedeur Sanders' numbers were in the negatives. He got sacked, I think, one game 60 times and had minus 53 rushing yards. So his numbers were very misconstrued, but they were also way lower than any of these other quarterbacks. And that what you just said highlighted that, in my opinion, to those stats, because none of these guys are rushers. But he, again, overall finished the season with a minus 56 rushing yards. And again, the most sacks out of all the quarterbacks. So to play onto what you were saying statistically, from what I'm seeing, it plays perfectly.
Now, I will say in college, they do count sack yardage as rushing.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, tomato here, but with the stats that are in front of us, I mean, these things are happening. If it's not going to be counted on the score sheet at the NFL level or not, but these things are happening, and that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, and like I said, he probably had the worst team around him outside of Travis. To be 100% honest, from the quarterbacks that we're going to be talking about. So there is something to say there as well. He has a nice arm, accurate, but I don't see the special. Just like I was saying about Cam Ward, and where you're going to have to draft him in the NFL or in the fantasy draft, especially if he goes to New York Giants. It worries me. I know he's going to have Neighbors there, but Neighbors is kind of a deep guy, fast. So if he doesn't have much time, if he can't get the ball out quick enough, he's going to have some issues. So, again, I'm a little bit worried about him. What do you guys think?
Well, I think, like, I talk all the time about that artificial dynasty value, right? It's kind of like being in high school, right? Are you just copy their kid or the kid that gets like great grades, right? And like he's got some negative value around him, and if he doesn't start off well, you're not going to be able to trade him. People don't really want him, so like that's something like I always think about when I make a pick. It's like, are they going to grow in value? Am I going to be able to trade this player? And quarterbacks do hold value, which is helps, but at the same time,
like there's just enough negativity around him that I think if I would need to trade him or something goes south or I'm trying to move off of him, that's going to become very. So that's probably why it's not someone I'll be targeting in drafts, but if he falls enough, I'll find value there. Then it'll turn into value for me. But yeah, I think it's someone that's going to be hard to move if he doesn't start off the season strong.
And that's one of the things that I would say is exactly the last thing you said, which was the value piece. For him to go in the middle of the first round, I'd be a little worried. But if he drops to the back of the first, like I said, with Malik Neighbor, I mean, I would probably take a run at him. But how many drafts are really going to let us, the second quarterback, probably in the NFL draft that goes into the late first round, right? It's not going to happen very often. So
I kind of hope he is available when Dallas is on the clock, just to see what kind of anarchy we get if they take him or don't take him.
They take him, Shoddy.
It's very possible. It's very possible. They picked kind of decent this year, the Cowboys. So it's very possible that if he does fall from one of those two early quarterback teams and nobody trades, it's going to be interesting. I'm hoping for it at least.
Yeah, that'll definitely be interesting for sure. So again, we talk about Shador a lot as well, but he's been in the highlights or the limelight, I guess, all year. So we kind of have to talk about him. Also, the circus thing is always something that we talk about as well. Here, he creates his own. His dad's always loud and boisterous, but and everything around him. So we'll see what happens. I have a feeling at some point he's going to fall a little bit in the draft, but I haven't seen it yet from all the mock drafts. So we'll see what happens there. But again, if he's in the late first round, I'd be excited for it to take him. If he's in the middle round of the first round, which is kind of where he's been projected fantasy-wise, I'd be a little bit worried. So,
well, I mean, that's eventually he'll turn into value, and that's what will happen. And at the end of the day, these are super flex leagues, and quarterbacks are a dime a dozen. And so, I mean, and like I said, they hold value. So he might not start off strong, but guess what you probably could do in a year? Trade him for not far off what you paid for him, because that's just the reality of quarterbacks.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I'm actually going to be positive on a quarterback. This is one of my favorite prospects coming out, quarterback-wise at least. Jackson Dart from Ole Miss. What we got on him there, Ackman?
Same exact type of metrics in regards to height and weight. He's coming again at 6'2", 225. He asked for 4,200 passing yards last year for 29 touchdowns to only 6 interceptions, a 69.3% completion percentage, QBR rating of 86.3, the highest out of all the ones that we're going to discuss today. And he also came in at the second highest of 495 rushing yards to 3 rushing touchdowns. So overall, I'm very brief here. I agree with you, Mick. I think out of all the ones we're going to discuss today, if I had to have one in a superflex format or in a real-life football format, Jackson Dart is the one I'm taking.
Absolutely. And I'm trying to figure out what I'm missing on the other two that makes Jackson Dart not the number one prospect.
It's a good call out. That's well said.
But you even look at Ward, right? Like 39 touchdowns, almost 4,000 yards. Like, I also don't understand his hate as well, right?
Yes.
Like those are good numbers.
Ward was playing behind because his defense was so bad he had to throw the ball.
I'm just saying, but you put up numbers like those are good numbers. Like I'm saying, it's the same thing. Like those are good numbers. Like those were numbers that quarterbacks last year were putting up, right?
Right, exactly. And this is down in the SEC where the competition is supposedly the best.
Yeah.
And he's been there multiple years, and he's looked good multiple years. It makes absolutely no sense to me. This is the guy that I have been excited for. I thought for sure him or someone else we're going to talk about later, who I'm a little bit biased, go Longhorns, we're going to be the number one quarterback taken this year. The fact that Sanders and Ward jumped them, I'm still trying to figure out why and how. Because the rushing ability is worse, or the same if you want to say. And the accuracy is just as good, if not better. the poise in the pocket's fine. Like I don't understand. And granted, I don't go on the insides of everything or anything like that. I'm just someone speaking that watches football a lot, and all I've seen is that Dart is the best quarterback in this draft, hands down. So I don't, Jim. I know you have another something to say there. So
well, I think he has the highest ceiling, right? When that rushing upside, I know when I'm targeting quarterbacks, that's who I'm looking at. Is like I think I can always go buy quarterback 12. That quarterback will always be on the market. That's not a special quarterback, but those rushing upside guys, those are the guys that will win you fantasy leagues, and you get almost like 2 stars for one with their rushing side and their throwing side. So yeah, I think he's easily got the highest upside, but. Yeah, I mean, I think the NFL draft will tell us, if we're right or wrong with Dart. I'm hearing round 2 more, but I don't know if he sneaks into the first round. That I think rookie drafts will be very intriguing. Then if he goes top 15 or so, top 20, like I keep hearing a little bit.
Being a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, if he drops past 21, I'll be absolutely shocked the way that they're looking at their quarterback room right now. Because I don't think Shador will be there, and I don't think Ward will be there. So, NFL draft, I have a feeling that Dart's going to go 21 or earlier. Is what my thought is. What I'm hearing in Pittsburgh. What about you, Akron?
Yeah, same. Yeah, I know we were kicking the tires a little bit on Milroe, but I know like lately it's been Dart's focus. And again, I was pleased with that because again, for all the quarterbacks in this class, I think Dart is it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
All right, absolutely. And Jimmy, I think you're still with us, right?
Yep, I'm here.
All right. So we did have some trades that you wanted to talk about real quick for Jackson Dart.
Excellent.
I believe he was projected for the 110. Is that correct?
That the one, yeah, I pulled up. I think it was PFF, and they were projecting him at the 110 in rookie drafts.
Okay, perfect. So this is an interesting one that I saw on your list that I want you to talk about first. Make sure we get it in. The 110 for Troy Franklin, Jonnu Smith, and Terry McLaurin.
Yeah,
the floor is yours, sir.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I don't know. It's. I mean, it's not a. It's a 12-team start 10, so it is a 2 quarterback league. So this is where I probably would expect Jackson Dart to probably go a little bit earlier because they're so desperate for quarterbacks. But if we were putting Jackson Dart on the 110, Superflex 2 quarterback league, like I would lean more on the 110 because it's not that deep of a league. And Franklin's not a starter. Smith is not a starter. McLaurin would be nice, but I could probably find that value elsewhere. So I probably would lean more on the 110.
All right. Wow. I was seeing the other way completely, so I'm glad you said that.
I really thought the second trade was interesting, where it was Jordan Love, or the 110 and Travis Etienne. That's an intriguing one because I could see Jackson Dart. If he starts, goes in the first round, and you're getting a running back that I mean I don't know how much you believe in Travis Etienne these days, but as of right now, he's still a starter. I would probably lean more the 110 and or Jackson Dart and Etienne and get the 2 starters there, especially in a start 11.
We definitely agree on that one for sure. Because again, I'm projecting him to be the best quarterback out of this draft, and kind of similar to Love, to be honest, if not maybe a little bit better. But that's down the road, obviously. But in Travis Etienne, you're right. He's still a starter. He might not be very good, but he's still the starter there.
Yeah. And we've been talking so much about like moving around drafts, and Jeremy, I would love to hear your opinion on this one. It's the 110 and the 205. So basically, what is that? You could look at Jackson Dart and maybe Milroe around there as well, or the 105.
If I'm going to wear my hat of a QB need, I'm taking the QB aspect here, especially because, like I said, I'm high on Dart, and if we're going with Superflex, I'd rather run with the potential of the quarterback that could be my starter. That's where I'm at. I'm in a similar situation with my current picks in a league where I'm in QB needy, so I'm kind of wearing that hat here, and I'm going with the quarterback. again, because I'm struggling here. Like, there's so many positions out there that you can reach out for. Like, there's elite running backs and wide receivers and tight ends, of course. But when it comes to the quarterbacks, man, it's one per team, not three like a wide receiver, not two like a running back, and it's I'm going with the priority, the value of the position, sir.
Yeah, I think like a 12 by 12, I would probably lean the 110, 205, just because you could theoretically get two starters there. But I don't know, that 105 to me, like that's like I know I love the 105, and we know that's very well documented, but like that is a far way back. Like that's taking you out of some tiers, and potentially, yes, Jackson Dart could be a running back, or a Trey Harris, some former receiver there, but like I don't know. I think the artificial dynasty value in me tells me like the hype of the 105, I could probably do more with that until rookie draft day than trading back to the 110.
Yeah, and I think I'm the minority on this pod in regards to wanting complete and utter control of my future. But that's, again, what leads here. I want complete and utter control. And if I miss on Dart, okay. But, like, if I have the opportunity to take him and I have the opportunity to get the picks or get the position to acquire to take him, I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Now, if it was like a 26 first, I would take the 110. I think that'd be enough to let go of that pick for me. But
I concur. I concur.
I maybe just because of how I'm feeling this year, but I know I have the 105 in all three leagues, just how it happened, but I'm probably not trading these early picks or the 105, 106 until I'm on the clock, because I need to see who's following me. Because at that point, you can have Ted McMillan follow to you, you can have a Cam Ward follow to you, or a Jackson Dart, or maybe a Quitchon Judkins, a Travion Henderson, Amari and Hampton. So I'm like, I would really want to see who's on the clock before I pull the trigger on a trade like that.
Yeah, I would say if you're not quarterback need, or I mean, you could take a quarterback at the 105 too, but if you're trading up, you're probably needing one of those stud running backs or Tet or something like that. And
maybe a Warren there, maybe the tight end.
With positions,
I think we've said. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but we've said it a few times that this class isn't the best, but there are the best in this class, and that's what needs to not be overshadowed. If this class is not deep in quarterbacks, that's fantastic, but out of the quarterbacks, there are some studs. So these studs don't compare to past ones or anything like that, but I don't care about past ones. We're talking right now, and we're talking about these five quarterbacks or so, and these five quarterbacks, I would prefer Jackson Dart out of all of them, so I would handle my trades accordingly.
I think this class is getting some bad, some negativity, because what does everyone need at this point? Running backs. This class has tons of running backs. So I think that's where I think like we were so spoiled with last year, because we had all these receivers and all these quarterbacks. But the last 8 years, we haven't had running backs, and this class has a ton of them. And so I don't know, like if I was needing a running back and I'm not in this class, like I would be trying to get in this class because I want to take some shots at the RBs in this class, because there's just so many running backs that have high grades that are probably going to produce.
That's why we're doing one full show on the running backs, because there are so many good ones that are going to be relevant for fantasy moving forward. It's going to be a fun show to see that. Moving on, we do have Jalen Milroe at the number 4 spot here. He is from Alabama. And Ackman, if you want to go ahead.
Yeah, he came in with the least amount of passing yards, but the most amount of rushing yards, passing at 28.44, rushing at 7.26. This is the number that was the most outstanding for me. He came in at only 16 passing touchdowns compared to the 29 of Dart and 37 of Sanders, 39 of Ward. But he came in at a whopping 20 rushing touchdowns, which the next closest in this group of, say, 5 is 4. So, like, the rushing upside from Monroe is hand over fist better than anybody else in this class. I mean, you're going to take a step back on some skill and everything like that, but nevertheless, 16 passing touchdowns to 20 rushing, 64% completion percentage. He was sacked 23 times. Again, that number is going to be a little inflated some if you have a mobile quarterback, and 11 interceptions coming in at the year.
All right, so the first thing I have to say about Milroe is, yes, he's had years under his belt. It still feels like an Anthony Richardson, just more experience to me, personally. He's had 113 starts or whatever it was in college. He's had over 30. because he's been the quarterback since he was a sophomore, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, he plays on Miami or Alabama. He's really good. When he's good, he's on. Watch Georgia, or when he played Georgia this past year, he was insane. If we got that every year, he'd be the number one pick in the draft. No questions asked. But every week, it's Jekyll and Hyde, mostly Hyde, or Jekyll, whichever one's worse. I never know the difference. So maybe a bad way to explain it, but whatever the negative one is, that's usually what he is. But if you put on the Georgia tape, you think he might be God on a football field, because he was incredible that game. For me, I stay away from these kind of guys. I know it's huge high upside, but there's so much potential for downside. Look at Malik Willis. Look at what Anthony Richardson's going through, which we're going to talk about soon. I just don't believe, unless you're able to do it in the air, you usually aren't able to do it. There's very few that can. Lamar Jackson was able to do it with his legs so differently that he learned how to throw, kind of, because he wasn't a great thrower when he came into the league, but he was one of the few who were able to learn. But those are very few, far between. I've heard this a lot. Don't draft the exception. Draft the role. So that's why I stay away from these guys. But I know a lot of people like upside, huge upside, like number one fantasy quarterback in the NFL, upside. However, he has to learn how to throw the ball.
But regardless, he's going to start, right? If he goes in the second or third round, he's going to start. You'll be able to trade him away. There'll be windows of opportunity to sell if you want to. But regardless, he'll start, and then you will see. But I think if he goes in the 206, which where he's projected, like, I think that's a great upside pick for me. Like, that's something I would do all day.
I'm not sold that he starts. He's very unproven.
If he goes in the second or third round, he's going to start. He'll get a window to start. It might be a shorter leash, but he will start.
So you're saying like a backup that is hoping for an injury, and there's always injuries in the NFL. So
no, I think if a team drafts, I mean, I don't, just based off, I think data, like if they go in the second or third round, there's a plan for them. Like that, they're drafting some guy that early, which means the guy in front of them is not a long-term starter. Someone that's
go. Sorry, go ahead.
So it's a short-term option. So yeah, they're going to want to start him to see what they have, and then with how he performs will dictate his value going forward. But there'll be a window where he will start if he goes in the second, third. I think anything after that, you look at Sam Howell, like he had some starts. I mean, he was a fifth-round pick, but short leash, and he never got a starting opportunity again. Like, but he'll start. It's just a matter of how long.
Yeah, I think I agree with both of you here. I agree with you, Mick, in regards to like the sus aspect in regards to Milrow. But I agree with Jim. I think that he's going to get opportunities. You mean to tell me if somebody, say Vegas drafts him, you don't think he's going to get a shot? Like, it all depends on the landing spot for him. It's going to depend on the quarterback room. But again, to Jim's point, if someone's going to spend a second or third on them, that quarterback room isn't too promising, and they're willing to give him a shot.
No, it makes sense. I know, Jim, you had some trades for this player as well. So we want to make sure we talk about a couple of those here.
Yep, I am right here. So I
okay.
I don't know. The one I thought was very intriguing was 206 or Jalen Milrow or Aaron Jones. Like that's where I think that's, and Mick, I know this drives you crazy, but this is where, like, if I'm competing, I'm probably trading 206 for Aaron Jones. If I'm in rebuild, I'm taking that 206 and I'm drafting Milrow and seeing what happens. Those are, that's the risk I would want to take on a rebuilding team.
I think I agree with that logic completely.
Yeah, no, dude, I don't know why you were apologizing to me. That makes a whole lot of sense, because this guy's not going to start right away. I don't believe he will. He just isn't very good passing them.
The other one I thought was very intriguing was it was going to be the 203, 403, and a third round in 26 for the 26 and 29. I would take the 26 and 29 all day, I think.
Me too. Yeah. I'm taking the meat. I'm taking the meat.
Give me a random running back. Give me Milrow at the 2-6, and I mean, yeah, the 203 is higher, but it's only 3 spots. So I mean, you're not paying much to move up, so it's probably a win-win. But give me the 209 extra, and like I said, this year I would want chances. So give me extra chances, and then I bet you by the end of the 2025 year, the 2.6, 2.09, Milroy and whoever running back, like I probably would have more opportunity to increase in value than the fourth round and a future third round as well.
Yeah, like the 403 and the third round next year, like that's window dressing to me. That's someone looking at KTC making it even.
Yeah, I mean, it's a start 12,
like.
start 12 teams, start 11, so like it's a pretty deeper league. So that extra pick, it could be a starter, right, for you.
Mm-hmm.
But I, in this draft, I think those running backs, I want as many shots this year. So that's where I give me the 2.6, 2.09.
No, I agree, and I think the only way you make this trade, and are sane, is if you had a player that you were projecting wasn't going to be at 203, and he is.
Someone falls, someone
falls, and you are like, I got this. I can make it happen. This is the guy I need, and you make it. It.
This is a move Jeremy would make because he's got a player crush, and this is the move he would make.
Yes, not in for one of these particular players, but yes, a player crush. Player crush would definitely weigh this out. Yes.
Igbuka fell to 203. He might even be lower. I don't know.
No, we don't talk about him enough.
He's my favorite wide receiver. He's my favorite wide receiver in this class. My favorite. I'm not saying he's going to be the greatest, but he's my player crush in this class.
Yeah, he'll be fantasy. We'll talk about him next week, I promise.
Yes.
Yeah. He'll be fantasy relevant no matter what.
Yeah.
Correct.
Absolutely. So, real quick, we had two more to talk about. I don't know if we just want to kind of glance over them a little bit here. Quinn Ewers and Will Howard both. Quinn Ewers, who I thought was, again, going to be that other guy with Jackson Dart. Coming into the year, he was touted as probably the number one prospect in the NFL draft, and then he got hurt and fell. And I'm not sure what happened, but he fell to number 5 on the list from what I see, everything that I've seen. A lot of people are saying mid-second, maybe even third, from what I'm hearing in the NFL draft. So, but Jeremy, you got some stats on him. We'll just go through these two pretty quick here.
Yeah, real quick here. Ewers passing is 34.72 for the year at 31 touchdowns and 12 interceptions with a 65.8% completion percentage and a QBR rating of 75.4. Clocks in at 6'2", 210 pounds. Howard comes in at 6'4", 235, and his numbers were a tad bit higher. He had 4,010 passing yards to 10 picks with a 73.1% completion records and a QBR of 89.6. So his numbers were a little bit higher than yours in regards to a lot of these aspects. But I'm with you in this one. I am a fan of yours. I would have been fine before the Dart momentum got. I've been fine with Ewers coming to Pittsburgh. I think we do need to grab one of these guys in this class. So I think Ewers would be my second preferred out of this class for the Steelers if we're doing on a local spin. But overall, statistically, they're similar.
So for Ewers, real quick, I just had to say this because the three player comparisons are hilarious to me. Bo Nix, Kenny Pickett, and C.J. Stroud. Not really sure what they have in common, but that was just interesting to me that those were the three that were the closest comparisons.
Was it Bo Nix?
Bo Nix, Kenny Pickett, now a starter, and C.J. Stroud, who had one of the best rookie seasons. So there's an outlier there for sure. We know that, but definitely in Pittsburgh. But I mean, I see the understanding of that. They can move. He can move a little bit. He held Arch Manning at bay, so it wasn't like
Thank you.
Terrible.
Thank you. Like, I know there was other decisions there and an experience, but every time that somebody mentions Arch, I had to bring that up. Like, Ewers beat Arch. I mean, I know there was coaching and age and everything between, but as of now, Ewers beat Arch, and that's how I take it.
And Will Howard, the way he played in the playoffs, you would think he was a completely different quarterback in the regular season. He looked great in the playoffs. And if you can get that guy, I'm surprised he's the number 6 quarterback here. So, national champion, able to win, proven winner. Yes, he's thrown to the best player in college football as a freshman, I loved what I saw from him. Kind of like the J.J. McCarthy run at the end of the year, if that makes sense last year. So I don't know if you had anything you wanted to add, Jimmy, on these two guys.
No, I think I need draft capital. So I mean, if they're second, third round guys, like I said, same thing as Milrow. Like I'll take flowers on them, and see what happens. So,
all right, perfect. We're gonna go quick halftime here. I don't think there's too much. I mean, I think we could talk about Anthony Richardson for a while, honestly, but we can probably do this again as well. But Anthony Richardson, it's going to be his third year. Colts signed Daniel Jones. What do you think that does to his stock?
I think it definitely hurts it because, I mean, you're going to want a quarterback with starting capabilities. Like, you're not interested in a backup quarterback unless either A, you have that starter, or B, your name is Jim. So the backup quarterback market is like, eh.
Did you just throw shade at me?
I didn't throw shade. I said, your team is 70% backup quarterback, so you must like them.
I do. I need to get him on my team.
How's that shade?
As soon as he's announced as a backup, I'm throwing a 4th round pick there.
Boom. See,
do we really think he's going to be the backup, though?
But here's the issue. It doesn't matter because right now he's in competition. So you don't know.
Thank you. Well said. That's how you answer the question. And that's how you answer Mickey's question. Right
so
now.
He's already lost value because he's in a competition. You don't know if he's going to start. And in deeper leagues, you probably don't have 3 quarterbacks. You have 2. So you're down a starter already. And regardless, great, he's announced as a starter. You know he's not guaranteed to start the whole year. So there's already doubt and worry, and that artificial dynasty value is already at its lowest point. So
and not to mention, like, if he's named the starter, what part of that announcement excites you? Because you didn't see anything last year that would make it somewhat okay. This guy's going to help me win something.
He's going to be on a short leash. So, like I said, we talked about this already.
He's basically untradeable because anybody that has him is going to take a massive hit on the value. So they're not going to want to move him.
If you didn't trade him when he was announced the starter to finish the season, then you're either delusional or you have a player crush and you're just never going to trade him anyways. Because that was the window there. The window's already closed.
Nobody wants to lose value on him, and then nobody wants to. Everybody wants to just hold out hope. They'd rather kind of not to throw anybody on the bus, but kind of like reference what you referenced a few weeks ago, Mick, on Justin Fields. It's like people are just holding him because at this point there's no point of letting him go at the value of which he's going to go for, and everyone's buying him low for this purpose. So you're either absolutely fed up and you're going to sell him low for whatever you're going to get, or you're done.
That's why I wonder if this is kind of like a buyer's market is what I was thinking of. Because I know I went out whenever Bryce Young got benched for Andy Dalton. I went out and I got Bryce Young for like a third. Not saying he's going to be great or anything, but he's a starter now. And he played well in the second half. Like, we have to remember, Anthony Richardson has not even played a full regular season yet in 2 years. Now that's
he drafted. He was drafted when he was like 15 years old too. So like
he's 20, but yeah. But he's not even played 17 regular season games yet in 2 years. Now that's because of injury, and that's also because he has been terrible. But he has only played 28 games in college and NFL.
That is so crazy.
So
hearing that out loud is insane. Like I know it, but like even hearing it every time is just crazy that this dude is a potential starting quarterback in the NFL and has played 28 games. That's crazy.
Every single one of the rookies we've talked about, even the ones we've glanced over 30.
Yeah.
College.
College alone. College alone. That's crazy.
Give him some starts. He may come around. I think it's a buyer's market because everyone's thinking the same thing. Daniel Jones is going to be the starter.
But what are you buying? You're buying hope.
A chance.
Like, but that's things.
If someone's willing to get rid of him for less than a second, or a second or worse, I would take the jump.
But that's the thing. Nobody is because everyone's spent way more on him than what they've actually been willing to give up. The Anthony Richards isn't like a Jonathan Taylor who, before he broke out, you were grabbing him off the waiver bench or something like that. Like, this is somebody who was drafted, I believe, 4th overall was his number. So like you spend a ton of money on him. He has that. He's that quarterback mold of rushing and passing that you like. So like you're taking a significant hit, even if you drafted him in a dynasty league. You're still taking a significant hit on anything you trade him for.
No, absolutely. I'm just thinking if someone's willing to get him off his roster for a second or third, I would probably take the gamble because if it hits, he's only 22. If it hits, you have a top 10 quarterback in your grasp. So I always look for the upside on that as well. But I am not a Richardson fan at all. But if it's worth value, I would take the gamble. Anything else on Richardson for you guys?
I just think like, oh, you're buying like starts, I guess, which is fine, but like you can't do anything with him. Like I think that's the thing is like he's someone that like you trade him, he's gonna die on your roster. Like yeah, he might hit. The odds say no, but yeah, like you're buying starts, and I don't know. Yeah, like I just even a third, like I don't know. I probably could do something else with it and be more beneficial. I think I don't know if I would even do that. I think I'd be having a dying asset on my bench and just taking up a roster spot.
Interesting. Okay. We can definitely disagree on that one then. Moving on, we're going to go to the rookie tight ends here. First off, we've talked about this guy so much, but we're going to talk about him again. Tyler Warren, Penn State. You're up, Eric Ackman.
Yeah, he's the moose out of all of our tight ends that we're going to discuss today. He's 6'6", 257. Great train of a man. Second most receptions out of all the ones we're talking about at 104. He had 1,233 yards with an average of 11.9 yards per catch, 8 touchdowns. And he came in a little bit of rushing as well from just passing play or other plays at 218 yards rushing and 4 rushing touchdowns. So overall, he's in the upper echelon, if not the top one, out of all the prospects we're going to discuss today.
Yeah, man. You said 8 touchdowns. I thought it was like 18. How many times I watched him and he was in the end zone? It was like every big game he scored. And he must not have scored on the small games. I don't know what happened, but I love this dude. I can't stand Penn State, but I love this guy. He just looks like the part. He's a monster of a man, can move, run a route. There's not much this dude can't do. Obviously, I'm not going to compare him to Bowers because Bowers is a freak of nature. But he's probably in that second tier right after him of prospects that I like, people that I've seen in college.
Yeah, even just recently, I'd say he's in that Kincaid Laporta tier. He's in recently.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm super excited for this guy. I've heard anywhere from top 6 or top 5 being drafted to probably 20 is where I think the fallout is there. So I've heard so many different spots for him to be drafted in the NFL draft that if he's the top 10, he jumps into that top number 2 tier. Again, I have Genty in his tier by himself. But that next tier he jumps into for me, especially in tight end premium league, where you don't have many tight ends that matter. Someone getting drafted in the top 10 with what I've seen on tape, I can't see how he misses. So
especially because what I'm seeing is him to the Jets is the earliest I've seen him go, and I really like the fit on the Jets. I think they only have that Stone Smart who kind of had a game or two last year with Chargers, but other than that, I don't think they have much depth. I think he could do really dangerous in the Jets.
That's a good point because I believe Conklin is in
Chargers. He went to Los Angeles.
I almost said San Diego. So
it was kind of weird because like Stone Smart's contract expired off the Chargers and he went to the Jets, and then Conklin's contract expired off the Jets and he went to the Chargers.
Yeah, so there's a wide open spot for him there.
Yes,
if he gets there. So top 10 pedigree is where it sounds like he's probably going to end up, but we'll see there. Jim, you had some trades here for wherever his ADP is.
Yeah, I kind of saw him around the 107. So, I don't know, I saw some interesting ones. Like, this one looked pretty interesting. It was the 107, 110. Miles Sanders doesn't really matter. Eckler doesn't matter. So, it's the 107, 110 for the 104 and the 304. So, kind of trading up. So, I don't know. I probably would take the 107, if I was getting Tyler Warren. Especially in those tight end premium leagues, I think that would help a lot more. but give me 2 shots and Tyler Warren plus whatever running back. I feel like that would be a lot better than whatever I could get the 104. I thought that was intriguing as well. And then this one I thought was very intriguing. Puka Nacua and Jalen Warren for the 1-3-1-7-2-0-5. So you must really love Puka, but a little tight end premium bump. So I probably would take the 103, 107 there as well. So I don't know if you guys have any other thoughts, but those were the two kind of the big ones. 107 seemed a little tricky. Doesn't seem like there's some great trades for the 107 yet. But yeah, 107 for Zay Flowers. So 107 for Breece Hall, basically. That was intriguing.
I like the 107 spot, but I concur. I think the running backs are going to make it a little bit too top heavy. I don't think he goes to the 107. I think it's a tad early. I can go when you see the 110. I think everyone's going to panic, and the running backs are going to go, and then the wide receivers are going to fall, and then people are going to want to grab wide receivers due to the value of them falling. So I think I can see the 1-7 being something, especially if it's not super flex, because then obviously you're not going to have quarterbacks clog that front. But I think the 1-7 is a little high. I'd put him at maybe 110, but nevertheless, I agree with you on some of those trades. I like what was the one before Puka?
Was it the 1-7 and 110 for the 1-4?
Yeah, and you took the 1-7-10, and I think I agree with you on that one, due to the draft capital alone. Yeah. Basically, if you're targeting Warren again, I think the 1-7 is still a little too early, especially in Superflex.
Yeah, no, I like the 107 and the 110 for the 104 because I don't see much of a difference in the 104 to the 107 to the 110. To be honest with you,
it's I agree.
Yet, of course.
Yes.
And then the Puka trade, you must really love Puka to give away 3 chances in this
getting
draft.
Puka.
I'm not saying that this is going to be an insane draft, but the 103, you're looking at a quarterback more than likely, or Tet or Omar and Hampton. Like,
he's a stud.
Really good options. And then the 107, if Warren falls, now I believe you're right because last year Bowers fell.
He was about the 107, 108. I think tight end is tight end's just an interesting position because it's, very few have them, but I think like if you want to trade a tight end, or if you want to trade for one, like there's what you could get back or what you would cost. It'll never reach the levels of a running back that hitting or a receiver or a quarterback. So I think that's always the tricky part with these tight ends is that they'll never reach that value. Like we need them. There's only like a few that I would want, but they're never going to reach the levels of what other positions will cost.
See, and that's my point is if you find a guy who you think is going to be one of the guys, and we only have 4 or 5 of them already. Like we called Travis Kelce a cheat code.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you had him, your team was in the playoffs. Like almost every year.
Yeah. The position advantage is huge.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Is what it's projecting out to be, right? So if you have a dude, now I'm not saying he's going to be the cheat code, but if you have one of the top 5 tight ends or 6 tight ends, if there's only 6 that matter, you have a leg up on everybody else in your league except for.
Yeah, and I do expect these tight ends to follow because what do people usually need? It's running backs, tight ends. That's kind of how they usually build their teams. And this draft is just so many running backs. So I can see some of these running backs getting pushed up and tight ends falling, some of these receivers falling because I think people are going to be raving, ranting and trying to get whatever they can and get these running backs because that's usually what teams need last.
Yeah, anyone in a draft with me, please let them fall to me. I'll be very happy to take them off your hands. That's all I got to say about that right there. So moving on, we're going to talk about the other tight end who's probably getting projected in the first 20-25 picks here. Coulson Loveland from Michigan.
Yeah, Coulson comes in at 6'5", 245 pounds, 56 receptions last year for 582. He came in at 10.4 average yards per catch and 5 touchdowns.
All right, perfect. So for me, Colson Loveland is a far second for tight end 2 for me. I know a lot of people are projecting him a little bit higher. And I liked what he did. He had no quarterback this year. Last year, the prior year with JJ, he was insane, which stinks that he couldn't come out last year, to be honest with you, because he would have been the number 2 tight end with Bowers probably. So ends up being the number 2 tight end as well with Warren. So I guess he didn't lose too much draft stock in that. So the comp that he had, Freiermuth, Tucker Kraft, and Michael Mayer, which 3 tight ends who are mainly known for catching, but can block a little bit. Kraft not so much, but the other 2 can definitely block. So sounds like he can do both a little bit. From what I saw him mostly going out in passing situations. So we'll see what happens there. So anything you guys wanted to add?
I think the gap is tighter. I think his rookie draft will have some very interesting debate of, if Loveland goes to Chargers and Warren goes to Colts, for example. It will be very interesting, the debate of which tight end will go and what is the gap. I think they're both equally talented, but I think the spot could dictate that a little bit where they go.
All right, interesting. I love Warren. That might be the difference. Is I love Warren so much that Colston's going to be a great player, I think. But what I saw on tape versus for Warren was just little bit stronger. But he is super athletic, Colson Loveland, and a little bit overly athletic for the position is what I've read and seen. So we'll see what happens there. Ackman, anything you wanted to add, or are you good?
No, I'm good. I think the way you closed it right there with overly athletic for the position, I think is the best way to wrap him up.
Cool.
Injury history scares me a little bit, but hey, we'll be all right.
All right, so let's talk about some trades. This is the other one that Jimmy, you wanted to discuss a little bit, Colson Loveland. So first, where is he being projected, and then give us some trade opportunities.
Right now he's kind of coming in about the 201 in a start 12, or not start 12, 12-teamer. So I don't know. I thought the first one was interesting. I don't think it's something I would do, but the 102, and you're trading back to for the 201, 25, and 28. I think I would still want the 102 because it has all that value. But talk about what we keep saying, how deep this class is, and I want as many shots as possible. And a 3-to-1 shot, in a 12-team start 11, like that's a lot of starters. Was it 132? So I could see the scenario where maybe you want the three chances, but I still would want the 102, and that's something I would trade on the clock because I probably could get more. But if maybe the 208 wasn't a first, it's something I would ponder at least.
Yeah, I agree with you. Any other draft, it would be a lock on the 102.
Yeah.
This draft, I do want to have more opportunities, but the 102 is too high to let go of for 3 seconds, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, at least one of those wants to be a first. And like I talk about all the time, like if you're asking me to trade out a different year, then like there's some tax on that. I mean, granted, they're all in 25, but I mean, you're that's really far back. I mean, so that's I couldn't trade that far back. I would need at least another pick in the first to help balance that off somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. I see a couple of these other ones if you want to talk about those as well.
Yeah, I thought the Derek Carr on the 104 for Geno Smith, 201, 301. Depending on, your quarterback market in the league economy, I could see a scenario where, you're taking Geno Smith, which is probably the more proven asset. Then probably what quarterback you're taking at the 104. Derek Carr will start. Who knows how long? But to also maybe get Loveland and maybe a running back. I could see a scenario where you maybe take the Geno side just to have feel a little bit more secure with quarterback for this year.
Yeah, again, for me, I think the quarterbacks are pretty even, especially with Geno now going to Vegas. And the 104 versus the 201 and 301, I would love to have that 104. For me personally. But I get what you're saying. It's kind of an even trade. It just depends on if you want
Yeah. Like if I was rebuilding, I would want the 104 all day because that's what I'm trying to. I'm trying to build more assets. But if I'm competing, I would want Geno Smith more for this year, and then give me Loveland on top of that, and then maybe whatever running back falls at the 301. Like you can see a world by the end of the 25 draft, the right side, the Geno Smith, the Loveland, they hold more value than what you would have got at the 104.
No, absolutely, and that's kind of where that tier break is. That 104, 105, so it makes a lot of sense. So. All right, moving on. We're going to kind of go through the rest of these guys because those two were kind of the cream of the crop. And then we got a few other guys here to talk about. Elijah Arroyo from Miami. Go ahead, Akron.
This one is actually, I don't know if I'm taking him, obviously, over Warren or Loveland, but this is probably one of my favorite tight ends in the class. I like him. I like his size. I like his yak ability. He comes in at 6'4", 245. He had 35 receptions for 590 yards. So he averaged about 16.9 yards per catch, and he had 7 touchdowns. He was a decent red zone threat with Cam Ward in Miami. I think he's going to be pretty decent coming out of the gate. I don't think he's going to be hey, let's throw him in week 2 of this year. But I do believe that he is going to be a decent tight end prospect within the next year. I don't know if I'd rank him in regards to like a Trey McBride type build where he took about like two and a half seasons to explode, but I do like this kid. I think he has some potential. I like his size, I like his hands, and again his breaking tackles and his yak yards.
Yeah, and no shade on Trey, man. He was behind the unbelievable Zach Ertz, bro. Anyway, Elijah Arroyo, everyone knows his name who has paid attention to anyone talking about the Senior Bowl. He was probably the best player at the Senior Bowl on offense is what I've heard. And that's where he really got promoted highly over who the next person's going to be, Harold Fannin. And now he wasn't the number one option in Miami. However, Miami did have a wide receiver who broke the record for, I believe, yards the U. So that was pretty impressive. We'll talk about him next week. Hopefully he maybe in Restrepo, we'll see. But I love everything about Arroyo as well. Everything I heard coming out of the Senior Bowl was insane. Like he was a man amongst boys kind of deal. And this is the Senior Bowl where everyone's the same age kind of deal, you know what I mean? So it was pretty impressive to hear all that. On the field, I liked what he did as well, like I said. Jim, what did you think about Arroyo? Do you know much about him?
No, I mean, I think that he's got that value built in. I think the hype from the Senior Bowl was quite nice and athletic, and that's what you want your tight ends to be. It's just now we'll see where he goes and stuff like that. I struggle because I think every year I hear, oh, this guy's athletic and stuff like that, but a lot of these tight ends just never pan out. That's where I struggle with is. So I'm hoping for the best. I am aware of his game, but the way I build tight end rooms, I just have one guy on my team. So I'll definitely be hunting for a Warren or a Loveland, but I don't think the consolation prize of him would be a bad thing. It's just these guys seem to not hit when I keep hearing athletic. So I'm worried, but we'll see.
No, absolutely. And he does have hands too, in my opinion. So it's not like he's just athletic, but he is a freak of nature. Athletically, you are right about that. Moving on, we have Bowling Green's. Yes, I said Bowling Green. Harold Fannin Jr., who broke some records this past year.
Yeah, he did. He on tail of the tape, he blows everybody else out of the water out of our top ones that we're discussing. He had 117 receptions. Next closest was Warren at 104. He had 1,555 yards receiving. Next closest was Warren at 1,233. He averaged 13.3 yards per catch. He came in at 10 touchdowns, and he even accrued about 65 rushing yards with a touchdown as well. So he's at 11 total touchdowns for the year. It's just to basically play on what you said. He had a record-breaking year this year, and the numbers don't lie.
Yeah, man. And yes, he played in the MAC. Yes, he did. But I believe they played, was it Penn State?
Yes.
And yeah,
I believe.
he played Penn State, and he played really well against Penn State. Just like we were
I think.
talking about, Genti didn't play the greatest competition all year, but when he played the tougher competition, he still showed up. So I like Harold Fannin. He was the number 3 coming out before the Senior Bowl, and he's the one that Arroyo was able to jump over. I consider these two about the same. I give a little bit more to Arroyo just because of the weight that the Senior Bowl does hold for a lot of people that I've heard, and how the best player from the Senior Bowl comes back or usually does well in the NFL as well. So not too much else on him there. Jimmy, you got anything?
No, I just these tight ends. Like I don't know. I'm gonna be. I don't know if I'll be taking a lot of tight ends this year because I want shots on running backs. So like I said, if I'm taking a tight end, like when they need 2-3 years to maybe finally produce, that's a dead asset on my team. So I don't know if I'm gonna be reaching on a lot of these guys. I'll probably just want to keep taking running backs. So we'll see what happens. I'd be kind of curious to see where they go and stuff like that. But I think this year is not a tight end year for me.
Interesting, because I think it's one of the better years we've had in tight end depth. But
I think the running backs are so overwhelming. I just really want as many shots of those as I can get.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're just going to talk about 2 more here at the same time, kind of like what we did at the end of the quarterback. So Mason Taylor, who was the winner at the Combine from LSU, and then Gunnar Helm, who, again, I'm a Longhorns guy, so I loved Gunnar Helm this past year. Jeremy, if you have
Yeah, I'll go real quick here. They're basically the exact same profile. The exact same height at 6'5", exact same weight, 255. 55 receptions for Taylor to 60 for Helm. 546 yards for Taylor to 786 for Helm. Average catching of 9.9 for Taylor, 13.1 for Helm. And touchdowns come in at 2 for Taylor to Helm's 7.
Wow, 7 touchdowns for Helm. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I didn't know that one either.
For Mason Taylor, this is a Combine flop, or flip is what I would say.
Yes.
Mason Taylor was barely talked about on everything that I was listening to until the Combine. He showed out and ended up being the best tight end who went out for the Combine. Granted, Warren, Loveland, and Arroyo did not perform at the Combine. So Mason Taylor from LSU did end up looking like the best, fastest, one of the stronger one, like everything. He was in the top 5. So as for Gunnar Helm, when he ran his 40, he got hurt. So his 40 time was, I think, 4.8, or something like that, which was one of the slowest in the class. And it finally came out that he got hurt, but I still believe that you look on tape, he's not slow. He's athletic for his position. 7 touchdowns. I was surprised by that, especially with the wide receivers we're going to talk about next week on this team. So I think you can kind of cut a knife. Like either one of these two are going to be good in the NFL. It's just what your preference is. Taylor is fast as can be for a tight end, but Helm has the production, in my opinion, a little bit more than Taylor does. So thoughts? And with Jimmy, we know you like running backs better, but we are talking about tight ends.
No, it's good. Yeah, I'm like at this point, I'm waiting for draft capital, so I think that's kind of will dictate my decisions.
Okay, yeah, that absolutely makes sense. So unless you guys had anything else, we're gonna hop out of here. I know it's a little bit longer of a show tonight, but this is kind of what happens whenever we get into the nuts and bolts of the NFL draft. I'm excited for the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks really, for the NFL draft stuff to really, really kick in. So anything else you guys want to say?
No, I'm good.
I'm good, thank you.
All right, guys. Well, for Jeremy and Jimmy, I'm Mickey. Make sure you check us out on YouTube, Apple, Podbean. We also have some social media that we're still working the kinks out. Slowly but surely, at dynastymttops on X, Instagram, and Blue Sky, as well as we have an email for any feedback or comments, topics you want to hear, and that's dynastymttops@gmail.com. Again, for Jeremy and Jimmy, I'm Mickey. Thanks for listening. Have a great week. We'll see you next time.
See you guys.
Thank you.